I am also sharing my number, sir, in chat. Okay, sir.
So, okay, I have started sharing this particular on YouTube as well. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what was the topic for today?
Sir, we are discussing user management. Sir.
Okay. Okay, so what we discussed last time, can anyone recall that?
Yes, sir. What are the paths available in a user, like password? How many paths available in the, if we create a user, like default user, we can change his directory. We can check the,
Okay, so
like,
what were the files involved in order to create users?
uh, .def, sir. SSH does SSH hyphen .def, sir. Config .def, sir.
What did you say, sir?
Sir
Okay, so
asking what we discuss in yesterday class.
Ayush, can you please tell
Yes,
me like what are the files involved in order to create users?
sir. etc passwd, etc shadow,
Mm-hmm.
etc group, etc gshadow.
Okay,
These
fine.
are these type of
So
files.
what are the fields
Yes,
in
sir.
easy pass WD file?
Sir, there have 7 fields. First one is username. Second one is user password, like a password pointer. Third one is user ID. Then group ID. Then comment for user. Then home directory for user. Last
Class.
one is shell. Hello, sir. You are not audible.
No, I'm just trying to log into this server. Give me a
Okay,
moment.
sir. Okay, sir.
There seems to be some problem with this particular one. Why it is taking
And
that much time? Just give me 2 minutes, guys. I'm just trying to log into the server.
Okay, sir.
okay, sir. And sir, you completed past 2 year, 2 days before. You explained logging.dfs file,
Okay.
and another file is default user add. Both are explained. Both were explained.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you understand? Like, what is the advantage of etc login.dfs file?
Sir, if we want to change by default, when we want to create any user, so we can change inside etc login.dfs. For example, if we want to change any password information and any like UID, GID, UMask value, these type of things we can change with the help of login.dfs file.
Okay.
Sir, if we create user, then default it takes some paths are based on the home directory,
So, guys, I have just rebooted the system because there was some unwanted load which was visible to me. So I have done that. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, this will not allow me to log in. Guys, if you remember, we were performing practical for SSH, where we allowed couple of users and rest of users were restricted, right?
yes, sir.
Because of that practical, it is not allowing me to log into that machine.
Sir, but how you able to find that error?
Not able to find the error, but I recall that.
Okay, sir. Based on what you did in the previous class, you
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Okay, fine. We are good. So, guys, how do we create a user?
User add command.
User add, then the username.
User.
Let us say Tom. User is added. If we want to see, created. This is username, password hash, user ID, group ID. If we want to add some comment for the user, like this is added here for EC2 user. This is known as comment for user or information of user. Then the home directory of user. And lastly, bin bash. The same way, if we want to add a group, we can run a command, group add, let us say, group name. And guys, where can we see the information of group?
/passwd.
Group.
Now,
Pass group.
within this particular file. The file name here is etc group. Okay. Now, what next? Now we want to create more users in group because right now today we are going to see how to add a user to a group, how to change the user group, what are the types of different group. Okay, so let me create one more user. One more group. One more user. One more group. Okay, let's say group are fine. So right now, what are the groups we have? We have sales and HR. But if you see within the same file, we have a couple of more information. Like we have one group known as EC2 as user. We have Tom as a user. We have David as a user. We have Thomas as a user, as a group. Because right now we are seeing the information in ETC group file. So what is the difference between these groups? Like Tom, Sales, David, HR, and Thomas.
Sir, we have a two types of group. First one primary, second one is secondary. So when we create any user, that type also create a group. So like a Tom, this is the primary group, and when we create another like a separate group, so this is a secondary group like HR.
Okay, so what is difference? Like major difference? Okay, don't worry. Let me tell you that. So guys, whenever we create a user by default, like let me run a command ID. So whenever we create a user, so by default, user's primary group also gets created with the same name. Like a user's primary group and username are going to remain same. But let us say I created a secondary group known as HR or sales. Right now, what do I want? I want to add these users in any of the group which I created, let us say sales or let us say HR, right? So in that particular case, what is going to happen? That I need to set the values of this group. Okay, how? There is a command known as user mode, like user modification, -G. Now there are going to be two type of G. Either it could be small or it could be capital. If I am going to utilize this capital G, it means right now I'm talking about secondary group which I have created, such as HR, user mode, like user modification -group. Which group? Secondary group I'm talking about. Then I need to define here group name, then the username, like which user I want to add into which particular group. This is how it is going to work. Okay. So now if I want to see here ID and then after the username Tom, you will be able to see something here. Like user ID is 1001, which is Tom. Group ID, Tom. What are the groups? Now see, there is another information added here. Groups means 1001 with Tom, and one more group is also available here, which is known as HR. Okay. Now, what do I want? I want to add this user Tom within two groups, like let us say sales and Tom both. Sales and HR both. So will I be able to add? So guys, if you see the difference here, what has happened? As soon as I executed this particular command, user mode -G sales and then Tom, what has been modified? User Tom has come out of HR group and now has been added into sales group. So guys, tell me one thing. If I want that these users should be part of both groups, then what to do?
Sir, A -G A. User mode -G A for append.
Okay. Because within the particular sales group, user is already added. Now what do we want to do? I want to add this particular user within HR group. Yes, you rightly said. This -A option is used in order to append. Append means wherever the user is already existing, do not remove the user from that group, but add this user to some other groups as well. So this A means appending a particular group user to another group. So guys, if you see here right now, user Tom, as you see the ID, like user Tom, is part of these groups. Which are the group? 1001, which is Tom's primary group, sales, which is user Tom's secondary group, and HR as well. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us say I have created a user. Usually, what sort of questions are asked during interview? Okay. Usually, people try to ask, let us say I have created a user known as Tom, and user Tom's home directory /home/Tom. But due to some specific reasons, I want to change user's home directory. So how to change that? So what happens, guys? Keep this thing in mind. During interview, people do not ask the question straightforward. The interviewer tries to mold the question. How? So the question may go like this. Let us say I have an operating system where multiple users are created, but the particular home directory which is created for all user, let us say /home, that has very limited space. So I identified that user Tom is consuming a lot of disk space on the operating system. So I decided to change the home directory for the user. I attached one more partition onto the operating system. And now I want to specify that particular partition as home directory for user Tom. So let us say, just for example, I'm telling, there is a particular directory known as root. Just assume that I have created one more partition here. Let us say /opt. So what I want to do here is I want to create a file or create a folder here known as Tom. So what is the ownership of this particular file? What is the ownership? User root. Group is root.
Root.
Okay. This is a directory with read, write, execute permission, read, execute for others, and group, right? That is the permission of this particular directory. So guys, right now, what is going to be the situation here? The situation is going to be in such way that I want to change permission of this particular file. Change mode of permission. 700 and then Tom. Why? So guys, if you see, whenever we create a user, so by default, all the users have this default permission on their home directory, right?
Yes.
So what do we need to do? First of all, we need to create a directory. Then after, we need to change the permission of it. So if you see, permissions are same, but still there is a problem. Like the ownership of this particular file, which I want to allocate as user Tom's home directory, this remains same. What does that mean? Like user Tom needs to own this directory. How do I modify that? /on change ownership Tom directory is Tom. If you want, let us say there is some data inside this home directory, or this file folder. You can use -r. It means recursive mode. All the sub files and folders which are available inside Tom directory, inside /opt, we can easily change the ownership of those files as well with the same command, /on -r for recursive. Okay. Now what command do we need to use? User mode -d for directory /opt. Before I run this command, let me show you once again something here. -n5 /etc. So guys, what is the home directory for user Tom right now?
/home/Tom.
Okay, very good. -d opt Tom, then user Tom. Guys, what do you see here?
/opt/Tom.
/opt/Tom.
/Tom.
Now, what does that mean? So guys, if someone is going to ask you during interview, okay, how to change home directory for a user, what are the steps going to be? First of all, create a file or create a directory. Change the permission mode to 700. Then after, change the ownership of that particular directory. Then run the command user mode -d for directory. Define that new directory to be like which is supposed to be allocated. Then after, the username.
Yes, sir.
Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. One more thing. etc. Okay, now there is a situation, guys. See, user Tom has user ID as 1001, group ID as 1001. But when we talk about user David has user ID as 1002, but group ID as 1003. Right? So let us say I want to change user ID of this user. I want to allocate a new user ID. So how can I do that? My question here is how to modify user ID of a user. For example, I want to define here 10,000. So very simple. User mode hyphen u for user ID. Whatever ID you want to specify, then the username. Now run command ID. What is the user ID here? Yes, guys.
10,000.
Yes. Now, first of all, couple of things are there. Okay, let us read this particular information once again. So what kind of information available here? Like we have username, we have group ID, we have user ID, we have home directory, we have shell. Right? So guys, let us assume I want to change the cell for this particular user. Yes, guys, I want to change the cell for this user. How to change?
Sir, user mode hyphen S.
Has been no login. So you can see here right now this user will not be able to log in, such as su hyphen. This account is currently not available. Whenever you want, okay, let us say during interview, someone can ask you, okay, I want user root should not be able to log into operating system. What to do?
We can change
If
cell.
someone is if someone is going to ask you a question in such a way that I want to disable root account, how to do? Wait. If you see, read this particular line.
Yes, sir.
Root 00 root / root bin bash. So if someone is going to ask like how to disable root account, what do we need to do?
We need to change cell.
Done.
Yes, sir.
Log out from here. Now, earlier I executed the same command in order to gain the access like root. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
But right now, am I able to log in? What message I'm getting here?
Last login.
Read this particular message. The message which I got for user Thomas, same message I'm getting from this operating system for user Thomas, for user root as well. This account is currently not available. And why is that so? Because if you try to read this information, what is the shell available here for this user?
Has been no login.
Yes, very true. Has been no login. So in such situation, if someone is going to ask you a question during interview that how to disable a like account, not only for root or for Thomas, for any user, they define a shell known as has been no login. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
User mode hyphen s. Once again, change the cell. Bin bash. Now it is in permission denied, so we can add sudo before the command.
Sure.
We are able to log in once again. Why? Because if you read here head-n1, like one line we want to read from this particular file. We are back to same shell. Only those users are allowed to log into operating system where shell is /et/bin/bash. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now let us say I have a question for you. I want to create a user. Where the user ID should be, let us say 2000. Group should be HR. Comment should be, let us say, user for demo. Right? Home directory should be, let us say, /opt/username is going to be, let us say, Natasha. This should be home directory for the user. Right? And shell for the user should be /sbin. No login. I want to create such a user where ID of that user should be 2000. User should be part of HR group. Command for user should be user for demo. Home directory should be Natasha /opt/Natasha, and shell should be this. So how to create such user?
Sir, we will write user mode command.
But user is not created. So that's the particular piece of which I want to share with you.
User not created.
Because we
User.
execute command known as user mode only for the users which are already created. But right now, if you see here, so the particular user which I'm talking about, like Natasha, that is not yet created. Do you see the information for user Natasha in this particular file?
No, sir.
Is
Sir,
there
user add.
Is there any other file which holds the information of user? No. So this is the primary file where information of user is stored, right? Okay, so let us try to do this. The command is user add. Now, what was the situation? The ID of user should be 2000. User add -u. Define the user ID 2000. Now, group should be -g HR -c, like comment for user, demo user, -d,
Directory for user.
then after shell.
-s.
Then the username. Now read this information, guys. What we did, we created a user with user ID 2000.
Yes, sir.
What is primary group ID? 2000. What is the comment for user? Demo user. Home directory for user, opt/Natasha, which we defined. What is the shell for user?
Has been no login.
Has been no login. Now, once again, let us go to the like previous state. Let us say I want to change directory for this user. Let us say /home/Natasha. How to do? So, Ayush, just to let you know and to repeat the same statement which you were trying to give earlier. Right now, I want to change any information for this particular user. Now I will use user mode command because right now user is created and I want to perform some operation on that. We are not supposed to execute user mode command until and unless the user is created. If we want to create a user, then we are going to go with user add command. When user is created and we want to modify something within this, then we want to use user mode command. Okay. Now, so I want to, let us say I want to change the home directory for the user. What to do?
User mode -d, and then directory name, which one we want to change.
So this directory is created. Okay, I made a mistake. The directory which I specified, that is not having the A in this particular word, Natash. Okay, let's forget about that particular title. But right now, what we want to do here is over here we have tried to modify the home directory for this user. That is changed. But do we have the directory inside this particular file in this particular server? No. What we can do? And change the permission of this
600.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us switch to this particular user. Account is not available. So what to do now?
We have to change cell.
Where we are right now?
Yes, sir.
/home/Natasha. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions so far? Yes, guys. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, now let us talk about one more thing. If we read about this particular file, so you will see different shells here, such as the very first shell here is bin bash. So what do we identify after seeing this particular shell? That only the users who have /bin/bash or /bin/sh, not the complete bash but sh, only those users will be allowed to log into this operating system, right? The user which are known as system users, let us say /bin, this user is used in order to perform some operation on the operating system, but user is not allowed to log into this operating system. So these users will have /bin/no-login shell. Moreover, the next shell here is /bin/sync, /bin/halt, /bin/halt. Moreover, if you see, most of users are going to have only this shell, which is known as /bin/login, right? So in order to understand this situation, like what to do here, what sort of shell we should assign to a specific user. So guys, keep this thing in mind. Only bin bash shell should be assigned if we want some user to be able to log into the operating system. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Let us go to one another file, etc. Okay, DNF install. So guys, what I did here is I had to change the user because the moment when I was trying to access this particular file, I was logged in with user Natasha, and Natasha is not privileged user. So guys, down the line within these sessions, we are going to see like how to provide privileges to any specific user in order to perform admin level tasks. Not today, but for now, whatever we are doing with the help of root user. But obviously, going forward, we shall be performing these operations with normal user as well after assigning that user to admin privilege. Okay, we are here. Guys, if just read this particular information, what is this? There are a couple of other files as well which are responsible in order to perform operations, right? Such as delay in seconds before being allowed another attempt after login failure. So for example, if any user is failed to log in within very first attempt, so for how many seconds the user should wait in order to log in again? Fail delay, 3 seconds. Obviously, we can perform some other operations as well. That is not the case here. But yes, these are the options available. Moreover, log unfail enable. Like unique fail account, we can check here. But the main thing which I wanted to show you here. Okay, guys, we discussed about mail directories.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Yes. Here. This piece of information I wanted to discuss with you guys. See, first of all, UID minimum. UID means user ID minimum, 1000. User ID maximum, 60,000. Now, guys, what is this? Sys UID minimum, sys UID maximum.
System user ID.
System user ID. Now, I have once again a question. What are system users?
Sir, system user already created.
Sorry, if operating
Sir,
system.
when we go to the etc passwd file, they have some system user.
Like
Yes, sir,
these.
yes, sir. These are system user.
Okay.
Like
I'm going to install a service for SFTP. Or for FTP, you can call that. So if you see, there is another user created FTP, which was earlier not available. Right?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
What is the user ID here?
14.
14.
14, sir.
And group ID is 50.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us check here HTTP. User is not available.
No, sir. Forty-eight.
Earlier, if you see that user was not existing, like I executed the same command, grep HTTP, right? What is the user ID here?
48.
So is this not a system user?
Yes, sir. This is also system user.
Okay, let me show you one more thing. So this file says that system users user ID begins with 2000 like 201 and goes up to like 999. But
Yes, sir.
whatsoever user we have created so far, these users UID is under 200. Why is that so? Yes, guys.
No idea, sir.
FTP.
Yes, sir.
Then after we have installed here Apache,
Yes, sir.
RPC user,
32. Yes, sir.
and we created here some more.
Network file system. NFT.
For NFS.
Yes,
Why
sir.
is the user ID less than 200? Okay, let me tell you in let's cut to short. So guys, whenever we install any RPM into the operating system, so that RPM itself contains that what kind of user will it create, what will be its user ID, what will be its group ID. So everything is already part of that RPM which we are going to install into operating system. So when we call it system user, so there are two things, service user and system user. So if we talk about this user known as Apache, this user is going to be used in order to start the service known as HTTPD. Okay, let me show you how. Do not get confused because obviously we are not very much aware of the particular services, like how do we start it, but here there is a command known as systemctl. What do you see here?
Apache.
Apache. Okay, very good. Fine. So right now, what is happening here? User root started this particular process, which is USR SBIN HTTPD, and rest of child processes are being maintained by this particular user. So what do we get to know? That anytime, whenever the service is being executed, that is being executed or started with the help of that service user only. So right now, if we want to categorize type of users available on the operating system into three categories, the very first category here is root user, which is known as super user in the operating system. Second one is service user or system user, we can call that. The identity lies between 1 to 999. And after that, we have a specific like normal user, which we call, and the ID begins with 1000. But yes, guys, if you have ever got a chance to work with RHEL 5 or RHEL 4, so in that particular case, the particular range used to start from 500. The range which you see here as of today, here, like it is beginning with 1000. So this particular range used to begin with 500 in RHEL 5 and 6. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, that is it for today. Guys, tomorrow we are going to begin with file permissions, the type of files, file permission. So anything, if you want to know about user management, you can please ask.
Sir, when we create any like a package, so can we change user ID or group ID?
Yes, but in that particular case, if you are going to generate your own RPM, then in that particular case, definitely you can do that.
Okay, sir.
But in that case, you should know how to build an RPM.
Yes, sir.
RPM means Red Hat
Red Hat
System
Enterprise.
Manager. Yes.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir, in real time, there are multiple users. So how can we know which user has which home directory or what was the user ID or group ID or something? How can
Okay.
we?
First of all, you need to see this particular file /etc and pass library, right? Like type pipe and then after username. So everything you will get to know. Like this user Tom has a home directory under /opt Tom.
Okay, sir.
Moreover, if you want to know about the like only ID, you can run a command ID and then after username.
Sir, I
If
have
some
another question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, what is the purpose of user ID and group ID? Why we like a set and why we need user ID and group ID?
Okay, so in Linux operating system, keep this thing in mind. For example, let us go here. Okay, these three files are there. Who has created these files?
Tom.
And what is the permission set on this particular file?
Sir, read, write.
Able to see here?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
So who owns this particular file?
Tom.
1001.
See,
I have no-
I have tried to log in with user Natasha. What do you see here?
No name.
I-
No
I
user.
have no name.
Yes, sir.
Is that practically possible that when I'm trying to switch with user Natasha and
No, sir.
Natasha is saying that I have no name, what does that mean? That
No
user is
user.
not able to read the particular file or the particular information from file known as /etc fastwd. So whenever there is a situation that user does not have sufficient permission, so every individual file is owned by a user ID, right? Or let us say I have deleted the particular user, but I have not removed the particular files which are owned by a user. So the final thing for the today, which is remaining, user del. So if I want all the files which are owned by user to remain in the system, but I want to delete a user, I can run this particular command user as Tom. But if I want to delete the particular home directory of that user, I can run -r command, user del -r like recursive mode. This particular option will ensure to delete the home directory for the user, which is known as -r option. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
So shall I run the command?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Right now, do you see anything here? user ID 1001 used
Group
to
ID.
belong to user Tom. Now user has been deleted, but file remains. So previously, system was aware of that this is a particular user ID which is associated to user Tom. Now user Tom and group has been deleted, file is still available. So the system is still informing you that these files were owned by user ID 1001. So whenever we create any file, so our operating system knows only one thing, which is known as like binary values, one and zero, or the numbers you can talk about. But just to ensure that we are humans and we tend to remember the particular usernames rather than the particular numbers. That is why the system shows us the names here in place of user ID. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir. Sir, if one of the user forgot the password, sir, then how can we reset the password, sir?
Define password command, define the username. User root can change password for any user.
So as a admin, we can change the
Yes.
multiple users password and other
Yes,
things.
we can do that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Tomorrow, we are
Thank
going to
you, sir.
discuss if any questions related to user management, and then we will talk about file permissions.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you so very much. Have a good time.